In all my years of watching Stephen Curry play basketball, I have never seen him go through a shooting slump to the degree that he has over his last 10 games. I was not even planning on making this video. Yesterday, I released a video about the MVP debate right now, the top 4 candidates and who I think is going to win, who I think would win if the season ended right now, all of that kind of stuff. And I said in Steph Curry's case that he would be the runaway MVP candidate if not for the last 9 games that he had. Because he was just playing and specifically shooting really awfully in those 9 games. And then after that video, he was putting up yet another really bad game versus the Sacramento Kings, but luckily in the fourth quarter, he did have a 12-point quarter to turn things around and have an overall decently efficient 30 points. But even then, he still ended up shooting just 33% from 3, going 4 for 12 overall, and being 2 for 9 from 3 in the first half. Curry as a whole in his last 10 games is shooting 49 for 141 from 3, which means he is shooting 34.7% from 3 in a 10-game period. Which is not awful for a normal player, and especially on that kind of 3-point volume. However, for Stephen Curry, the standards are a lot higher. Shooting sub 40% is abnormal for him. And doing that over a 10-game stretch is really abnormal for him. So what the hell is wrong with Steph Curry over these last 10 games, and should we be concerned about this potentially being a problem going into the future? Let's talk about it. Before I continue on with this video, about half of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you've fallen that 50%, then please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 200,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. I'm about 4,500 subscribers away from hitting that goal, and there's what, like 11 days left in the year, something like that. Is it the 20th or the 21st? I can't remember. Either way, subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated. I'm trying to hit that goal, and it's looking like it's going to come down to the buzzer. Also drop a like, only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Feel free to quote that a million times in the comments section like you guys have decided to do. I just did a video over on my film channel reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home, so go check that out if you have not already. It includes spoilers, but there's a section that is non-spoiler and you can skip past the spoiler sections. And if you want to hear spoiler talk, it's there too, so go give that a watch. Let's take the time to actually look at these 10 games individually to see if we can actually find some sort of pattern in why Curry is underperforming to the degree that he is. This all started with the Suns game where Steph had the worst game that I have ever seen from him with my own 2 eyes. He shot just 4 for 21 and 3 for 14 from 3. This was in large part attributed to the defense played by Mikal Bridges, and while he deserves a lot of credit for that defense, and he did play fantastic defense, there were also like 7 or 8 open shots in this game that Steph just missed, including a wide open layup. So it wasn't just Mikal Bridges. It felt like maybe he got in his head, and the fact that he'd missed so many shots before because Mikal's defense had that effect, but you can never really say, and if he had just simply made those open shots, he would have been able to salvage the performance. Then we go to the next Phoenix game, and Steph, while he does score just 23, does shoot very well from outside. He found himself with a lot of smaller guards on him rather than the length of Bridges, and he took advantage of it. He cooked my guy Landry Shamet like 3 times. It was absolutely brutal. And that marks one of the 2 performances in this 10-game stretch where he shot over 36% from 3. And actually, in both of those 2 games, he shot over 50% from 3. So, seemed like games where he'd be turning it back around, but then he goes back to multiple games where he's shooting sub 30% from 3. And God knows he needed those games where he shot above 36% because his percentages would be a lot uglier without those games. Those other 8 games from 3 were really rough. The Spurs game was nearly as bad as the first Suns game. The only thing that saved it is Curry's insistence to keep shooting, including hitting one of, like, I think it was his 2nd or 3rd 3 of the night, and it was a half-court buzzer beater. After that, he was like 3 for 14, but he did still end up shooting 5 for 17 from outside and 25% from the field as a whole. So, still not good. Still a bad game, but a little bit better than the Suns game. The Orlando game, Steph played really well. In fact, it was his best performance of the bunch, and honestly, it was where I thought, okay, Steph is turning it around back to the regular scheduled ridiculous shooting. But then came, for some reason, everyone collectively agreeing that Steph Curry was going to drop 16 threes versus the Portland Trail Blazers. I don't know what it was about this game and no game before it, but suddenly, because it felt like one game's amount of threes was within reach, because for Steph Curry, 16 threes is not as insane as it is for everybody else. But as soon as it became feasible for the guy to hit that amount of threes in one game, everyone decided collectively, okay, he is going to break the all-time three-point record, and he's going to break the all-time three-point makes in one game record. Of course, Steph did not do that. I don't know why we all collectively thought this, but it sparked a curse. I am not a superstitious person in the slightest, and I don't actually believe it's a curse, but it became a point where it's like, Jesus Christ. Granted, he was playing bad before that game, but it really felt like it got ramped up from there on, because he shot 6 for 17 from outside in that Blazers game. Then versus the Sixers, he went 3 for 14. Versus Indiana, he had a solid overall game, but still went 5 for 15 from 3. Versus New York, he breaks the all-time record in the first couple of minutes. So the curse is lifted now, right? I literally joke tweeted as soon as that 3 went in, before even celebrating the record being beaten. Okay, finally Steph Curry can go back to being good again now that this record is out of the way. We can stop focusing on it. But no, he shot 5 for 14 in that game. Shot the same 5 for 14 versus Boston and went 4 for 12 versus Sacramento. So what the fuck is going on with Steph? Why did he just seemingly forget to shoot over this stretch? Well, one thing that you could point to is that his three-point volume has been particularly high in this stretch, but I don't know if that's an intentional thing or if he's just shooting through frustration, but it really doesn't feel like something that Steph Curry would be particularly susceptible to. And when you actually run the numbers, he's only shooting 1 more 3 per game in this 10-game stretch than he was to open the year, where he was shooting 42% from 3. So I can't really chalk it up to that. That didn't end up really being the reason why. Although that lower, like 41-42% on the volume he had before was actually a little bit, a couple of games in there earlier on this year where it was a little rough too. Does it come down to how teams are defending him? Because I don't think that's really it, because Bridges had that one game where he was really good defensively, but excluding that, really didn't have any other like lockdown performance on Steph. Even in the Suns game itself, Steph found himself enough open looks to have a good game from outside. And it's not as though Steph is not used to incredibly insane coverages. He averaged 42% from 3 on 13 attempts last season when he was getting double teamed at half court every time. And he's been doing that for his entire damn career. And he's also notably missing a lot of open shots. Is it that the Warriors are not finding him for open looks as they normally would, or maybe not generating them? I wouldn't say it's that either. I feel like they're finding him when they're supposed to find him, and he's just missing. So it's not the volume, it's not the defense, it's not the Warriors' offense struggling to get him open. So really, it just simply has to be chalked up to a really, really, really rough streak. I don't think there's been another streak as bad as this for Curry's peak, which is what makes it so alarming, but it's not unheard of. That said, I did see a few people point out the idea of December Steph, where for whatever reason, Steph Curry just kind of always struggles in December. And I went back and looked at every December in his peak, and it's really hit or miss. There's enough there that I don't think there's nothing to it, but I don't know that I'd chalk it up to just Steph always plays bad in December. Last season, he shot 31% from 3 in December, but that was just 4 games because the season opened in December. He shot fine in 2018, shot fine in 4 games in 2017, but he did shoot 37% in 2016 through the whole month, which is definitely a dip. Shot fine in 2015 and shot 35% in 2014. So he did have 3 Decembers where he was really, really off, and 2 of them were full months of 37 and 35% from 3 for Steph, which is a really long period of time for him to shoot that badly, and actually kind of negates my point and that I'm saying it out loud that he hasn't had a streak this bad before. But I didn't remember it at the very least, and maybe I won't remember this one years from now, but I think there's some validity to the argument that Steph just plays poorly in December, but he has just as many good Decembers too. He actually had one where he shot almost 50% for the month of December. So I'd probably chalk it up to coincidence, but I don't fucking know. I don't know, it's weird and I don't like it. I'm trying to spread Steph Curry propaganda around here. That's the whole point of this channel, if you read the comment section of any of my Steph Curry videos, is to spread Steph propaganda. And this dude is making it really fucking difficult lately. So if he could get it together, that would really be great, and it would allow me to spread my Steph propaganda further. I said this before already at the start of this streak, but I had a video planned for, is Steph Curry better than he was in 2016? If you cut out this 10-game streak, there is an argument for that, for how he had opened the year, on top of the fact that his defense had improved. Can't make that argument now because he completely botched it with this 10-game run. Hopefully he turns it around, and I have no concern that he won't. I would have to see like 20 plus games of this in order for me to really have that concern. But yeah, it's just been fucking ugly for Steph. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, but at the end of this video, please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.